How do you drill a hole through a piece of stone using Stone Age technology? You have no access to metal tools, nothing harder than stone. It's got to be impossible, you might imagine. And yet, the equivalent of this, the hammer head with a hole through it and the wooden half put together to make a functioning hammer, existed in the Stone Age. We find stones like this with a hole right the way through them for hafting. How the heck did they do that? Well, fortunately, archaeologists have found examples of partially drilled holes. They find a stone and there is a sort of tube-like recess into them. So what it looks as though they've done is they've got something tubular and hollow, for instance, the leg bone from a deer, something like that, and they have revolved it somehow against the stone and drilled through, possibly using some sort of abrasive agent like sand. Anyway, I've never seen anyone do this, and it'd be very interesting to find out just how difficult it is. So let's give it a go. Now, one of my very generous viewers sent in some wonderful stone tools, including this wonderful knife blade you see, and how's that for an axe head? Not mounted yet, but I reckon that could be very useful, and as far as possible I want this video to stick to the use of in-period tools, but I am prepared to cheat a little bit if need be, but I'll be honest when I cheat. Now, for bones, I couldn't get any deer bones, which I think would have been the most common, but I did get some lamb bones. I went to my butcher and said, how about pig? And straight away he said, no, don't use pig. Pig bones are far too soft. Okay, what about cow? Oh, no, even the smallest cow bones are way too big. What you want is sheep. So I got some sheep bones, and I have one here in this plastic bag, and even in this plastic bag I can smell it. I was going to take it out and show you, but you know what a raw bone looks like, right? Okay, so but it's rank, so I'm not going to risk that. Instead, what I did is I put them in the ground, and that's what they look like when they come out of the ground. So this has been buried in my garden for about a month. It's going to need a little bit of cleanup. I did saw the ends off some, and I think very usefully I sawed both ends off a few, and these I will now clean up using one of God's greatest gifts to creation, the sponge scourer. An ard, the Neolithic predecessor of the plough. Notice that the share is thick stone and has been drilled clean through, and beneath it an antler pickaxe head. Look at that hole, it's as clean as a whistle. An antler is tough stuff. What did that? Hammer and axe heads are often made out of very tough stone. And these are the tools that survive. Did these drill through stone? I don't think so. These Neolithic axe heads are beautifully sculpted and polished. It's thought that they were very high status items, but we don't actually know that. And look, on the right, you see a partially drilled hole, and you can see that the drill bit was hollow. What did that? Was it a bone? This is the rather beautiful obsidian knife blade, double-sided, not as sharp as I would expect. It's definitely sharp, but it's not razor-like. I don't feel tremendously afraid of holding it like this and using it like that. I don't think I'm going to cut myself accidentally. I've also got some leather thonging, which has been cut from a sheet, which I think is probably more authentic rather than the round section stuff, and I think it may give us a better purchase on the bone. So we're going to wrap this round and try to make some sort of drill, so the greatest amount of surface area to grip the bone, I think the better. Right, yeah, these really need some cleaning up. Ooh, little bits of animal still left on there. Oh, that was another bit. All right, so my garden worms weren't quite as industrious as I'd hoped. But I can see all the way through, it's definitely a hole. But you'll notice that the bone is much thinner on one side than on the other here. Possibly I should saw a little bit more off. Now I achieved this flat end using a modern metal saw. But of course what they may have had to do is score around and then break it off, and they would have got a ragged end, and then they would have had to get a flat stone and flatten it by rubbing it. But I cheated. Yeah, that's not soil. That's a bit of an animal.
so I'm not going to sniff that. So what was the Stone Age equivalent of the sponge scourer? Well, one possibility is this grit, which is actually quite a good consistency. Quite useful as an abrasive. Is that working? Yeah, a bit. Oh, there you go. I can now just rip this sinew off, maybe. There we go. There you go. Fish, enjoy.
I'm happy to come right out and say it. The gritty river silt was in fact considerably better than a modern sponge scourer. So that's 1-0 to primitive technology.
It's coming up.
I made a spindle by breaking off a bit of twig, taking the bark off and then just whittling it with a stone knife. Yes, a modern steel knife would have made this job a lot quicker and easier, but it was green wood and it wasn't too bad. I finished it off by rubbing it on a flat stone.
Right, now my idea is to form a sort of cradle. So we put the stone that we want to drill a hole through on 4 pieces of wood, and then we put 4 pieces of wood going the other way, lash, 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 and then we leave a gap just big enough for the rotating bone so that the bone doesn't slide all over the place. This is to hold it in place. This is modern wood, of course, but we could use split sticks to the same effect.
I had on hand a scoutmaster who was trained by none other than Lofty Wiseman himself, he of the SAS Survival Handbook. He lashed the wood together using jute string. Jute is native to India, so that is pushing it a bit, but no matter. It was a scorching hot day and neither of us could bear to be in the full sun, so we sought out the dappled shade, which was quite an exposure challenge for my camera. Alas, we only had about 3.5 hours to get in, set up and get everything done, so I did have to curtail my ambitions a bit.
Right, now with the able help of my friend Mark here, we have lashed a stone, a flat stone, which we think is probably easier to practice with than a rounded stone, into the middle of lots of pieces of wood here, using old-fashioned looking but not actually authentic string. You may think that was cheating, but if you watch an earlier video we made some flax string, didn't we? We made a working bowstring with little more than our fingers. And so we know it's possible, just that it takes ages. So we have lashed it together. I don't know that this is how it was done, but you need some way of keeping the spindly thing. Where's our spindly thing? We have a never mind, we'll use this bone. We had some way of keeping the bone still whilst you twiddle it round and round. Now, an obvious thing to do would be just have a little starter hole, just peck away with something, but what is harder than stone that you're going to use to create a starting hole? No such thing. So just holding this in position with lots of lashed wood was my idea, and we're going to give it a go.
Yep.
Now, the thing to use apparently is a bent stick, and not, as you might imagine, a straight stick that is under tension. So if you think of a bow, as in bow and arrow, you have a straight stick that is made curved by being under tension. But you don't actually want the string between either ends of this to be under tension. You want it to be slack. You want it to grip, but you can grip by pulling your driving hand away from the spindle and bringing it taut that way, and then you can control precisely how much grip you have on the spindle. All going well, you can get away with it quite slack. If it's under too much tension, the thing tends to go and everything flies off and it's just hopeless. So a bent stick. Right, well here's a proof of concept of it. So we have a fairly slack string in this bow here, and as I hold it straight, you can see that there's very little friction on the spindle, that the string is just moving over the spindle and not turning it, but I only have to pull a little bit away, and now there's a huge amount more friction. Yeah, I mean, this gives me a control of the amount of friction on the spindle. Now at the moment I've just got a single loop around the spindle. Would 2 be better? I don't know. Okay, for the moment we're just giving it a trial. We're using modern paracord before we try with the authentic thonging, and we've got a piece of wood that Mark has just carved a little notch in the bottom of to act as the top brace. What do you call that? The
Bearing block.
The bearing block. I knew there was a proper term for it. And we've just got a stick for the moment, which is going to go there. And the current idea is that he uses either end of that to keep things stable, and I'll do the bowing. And oh, this could go so wrong. Right, here we go. Here we go then. And should this loop be towards me or away from me? Might make a difference? No idea. Oops. Oh. Not a good start. Making this even more challenging is I threw my back out 3 days ago, and it's complaining every time I try to do anything. I think this needs to be lower down, doesn't it? There you go, that won't throw you out of position quite so much. Oh. We would not impress any Stone Age man, would we? Right. No. Okay, I think you might need 2 hands on that.
You can use your hands to get the tension rather than pulling it. That'll help.
Okay.
It's better.
Ah, okay. So now I'm using my fingers like this to control the tension. Yes! Phew, proof of concept.
Excellent.
Okay. Right, so we'll keep this stone, but go to thonging and bone, yeah?
We'll try.
All right, there. Okay, now with bone. The bone, of course, is not straight. How do you get something that is curved to play ball? We've put a wooden spindle in at the top, bashed it in against a tree. I mean, we're not getting a full circle out of it. I'll pull this twig out. Is the biggest problem the fact that this bone is not straight?
It's not helping.
I know it's not helping, but is it the biggest bottleneck? I don't think the amount of friction is the problem.
No,
I'm actually not.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling hard with my fingers. I'm really only tweaking it. That is not spinning. That's just going back and forwards. I mean, we're getting. What are we getting? We're getting like 180 degrees. So we're getting. We're getting that. Is that? Shall I put some sand in? Now the sand, strangely, though it's an abrasive, might actually act as a sort of a lubricant as well. Ow! Now this is builder's sand, which is fairly coarse and angular.
I'm still not sure whether we want the loop towards you or towards me.
Nope, I have no idea. It may make no difference at all. Ow! We have mildly rubbed a small piece of stone. With this method, I've actually only now got about a foot of...
Yep.
Although I could tweak it like that. Okay, loads of sand. Oh, hey! It went all the way around. I think it went all the way around about twice. Do you think?
Yeah, I've got to watch the amount of tension. If I press too hard, it jams. If I don't, that's why it keeps flying out.
I think we got about 4 complete circles that time.
Getting hotter, so we're definitely getting.
Yes, I've just remembered something that someone once said to me. You do it all on one direction.
Okay.
So I'm letting it off here, and then I'm tensioning it and bringing it back. Oops. So has this made any impression at all on the stone? Oh, do you know? When we lose it, it's always in this plane that we lose it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if we just turn this 90 degrees,
you're pulling against.
so we'd have more support. Yes, we have cheated and used a modern tent peg, but they could have.
I don't think it's actually adding much.
But they could have banged in wooden sticks.
Yeah, it's not coming out though.
It's not coming out, but we're skipping all over the shop. We needed to go round and round on the spot. It's moving left and right so much now, which it wasn't before because, well, of exactly the same reason. These bits need to be closer together. Whose idea was this stupid square lashing? New horizons in science now, as Mark introduces the forked stick.
I thought there was the embryo of a polo-shaped depression there, but no.
I don't think so.
No.
We don't have any water, do we? But
I think we need a rethink.
is there any part of any of these bones you think is straight enough? If we're rotating there, this is transcribing a much bigger circle at the end. That's going to drill a hole like that wide. One thing that they might have had, not in abundance, but some of them might have had sometimes access to garnets. And garnets are very, very hard. And they were used amongst primitive people to grind stone. Ooh, that's a lot tighter. Right. No, it's too tight. Sorry. I don't feel we're progressing.
Nope. Nope.
Right. Well, my next idea is to saw here on this piece of bone, which is thinner and straighter and longer. This will help in a number of ways. Will it help enough? I don't know. We've been toying with ideas like keeping the bone still and moving the stone. I don't think that's actually the way to go. Mark suggested burying the stone quite deep down in a hole to hold it still. Yeah, I could see maybe that could work. You could jam it in there with some other stones perhaps. Anyway, sawing here. Vices are great. Ooh, look how thick the bone is in the centre. Well, perhaps that'll help. New, narrower bone. New, longer spindle, pointier. And my foot goes there. Ah, now then, if I do it that way, when it's spinning, it's always over here. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
It's always spinning in the same place. So, And because it's narrower, it's going round,
More times.
I don't know, 5 or 6 times rather than once or twice. Wow. Okay, that is an enormous improvement. It's going around faster. It's more concentrated on one spot. It's better in every way, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, unfortunately, that's the only bone I've got of that dimension. That's actually not bad. That is, what, 500% improvement just for changing the bone. This stick actually is clearly been strong enough. I was worried that this stick wouldn't be strong enough, and it is. So I'm sorry. Sorry for doubting you on your strength of stick. Wow. Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm hitting my foot every single time. Oh, get that! Yes!
Excellent.
Okay, so let's try that with some sand. Now here, I'm not tensioning it with my fingers, I'm just tensioning it by pulling the bow towards me, and it's not popping out, because we've finally got an arrangement which actually, okay, ironically it popped out at that moment, but even so. Right, now my feeling is that we get about twice rounds worth abrasion with the sand, and then the sand just flies out.
Yes.
Once we've got a hole, we can put the sand in the hole, and that shouldn't happen. But until we get a hole, we get very little value out of the sand. Okay, so has that made... Oh, no. There is sand there. Interesting. This slight oozing here has created a bit of a sand paste, which is probably to our advantage. So maybe one of the tricks was to wet the sand, and it stays there. Back to the tensioning it from the end.
I think so.
Okay. Right, what has that done, huh?
Ooh. Oh,
Well,
there's a mark.
I think it's really difficult to say, but I think there might be a tiny, tiny, tiny depression there.
Smooth that swan down. That's really...
Oh wow, yes, that is beautiful. That, if these were both bits of wood, we'd have an ember by now, wouldn't we?
Oh, yeah, it does reassure me we could get fire going, Lloyd.
And if you can get an ember with stone, then you're really good. That's how you know you're really good. Well, okay, so now it's just not coming off. So
I can press down a bit harder, which is good.
okay.
There must be a Chuck Norris joke in getting a friction fire going with stones.
He just rubs two bodies of water together, doesn't he? That's how he kept himself warm when he went overboard in the Pacific. He just rubbed two bits of the Pacific next to each other. Oh, I think we've
There's
actually smoke. There is actually smoke arising. It might be powdered stone. Okay, so. Okay, the end is warm, but it's not hot. It's just.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean.
Now there is.
I'll go as far as very warm.
There is a ring mark there.
And it's interesting that the bone is much thicker here, which is another reason for confidence. Although, I have to say that all the museum examples I have seen, the central bit of stone that is cut around is a lot bigger than that. My guess is that once you're in the hole, things would speed up.
Yep.
Interestingly though, if you had a hole and you put quite a lot of sand in it, you might do nothing at all. You might just be sort of stirring the upper parts of the sand around.
Let's just see. Can we make a noticeable impression?
Okay.
I think at this point,
you'll
noticeable impression.
A noticeable impression you will accept as success.
It'd be
proof of concept.
Proof of concept.
Right, but are we going to proof of concept with thonging, since we've got thonging? Now, with authentic thonging. The thing is, I so want there to be one that I fear that my mind is inventing it. Well, we've definitely got a way of putting a beautiful polish on the end of a bit of bone.
Yep.
Well, of course, back in the Stone Age, people had nothing but fresh air, fresh water, plenty of exercise, access to sunlight, freedom. They did a lot of walking and running, and everything they ate was organic, and yet none of them lived past 30. Oh wow, this is so much easier. Okay, this is easier for you too, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Wow. Whereas before we were using loads of muscle power to get anything done, now
it's all running truer. It's not. This is all in getting it all in line.
Yeah.
Is absolutely crucial. You can't work with it when it's wonky. I'm doing nothing.
So now you're just leaning on it, yes?
Yeah.
Using your body weight, and I'm now not even having to tension it with my hand. And they would have had songs, of course, for drilling. Do you know any good drilling songs?
Not immediately.
No? All right.
Drill, drill, drill your rock.
Drill, drill, drill,
merrily,
rock till it is more drilled.
Yeah. Merrily,
drillily, 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 drill, 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 drill. All right. I can say with confidence, thonging is better than paracord. Much better grip.
One more run through, then we'll take it out and see what we've got.
Okay. Ow.
Shall we see what we've got?
Okay. What, you're not going to unknot it then? You're just going to go whoomp straight through. Whoa. With your impressively huge knife. I'm going to be authentic about it.
Go on.
Wow. It's linking flip. This really works. Holy cow. Look at that.
There's an impressive amount of dust come off it. We haven't done, achieved something.
Look at that. Just cut through all those. Ooh. Wow! Wow!
That is far better than I thought.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you look at that? Let's get a big close-up of this.
What do you think of that, eh? Huh? That is an actual impression on a piece of stone done with string, a stick, a bone, and a lot of swearing. Actually, not that much swearing. We were both very polite.
Is that a raised bit in the middle? One?
Oh yes, yes. And in the middle, there is. It's very slight. There is. Can you see at the shadow? There is a very slight raised bit in the middle. Admittedly, this does not look like the museum pieces. It's also quite a bit off-center. Whoops. But we did that, and it only took us, what, 3 hours?
You don't know how long the historical ones, those ones you've seen in museums.
They took months.
Decades.
What you are looking at here is a conjectural reconstruction I found in a museum in Poland. Essentially, it puts Mark out of a job. Instead of a person pushing down on the bearing block, you have a log on a hinge with a weight on the end, and that does it instead. In other respects, everything's pretty much the same, except they don't have any means of keeping the stone at the bottom in place. So I feel that something is missing there.